Public Affairs very much thanks Residco, our sole corporate underwriter, for helping to make the production of this show possible.
You're watching Public Affairs. Berkowitz is my name, and politics is our game. What makes you pro-Israel?
What makes me pro-Israel, Jeff, is that I believe that this war that's going on in Gaza, which was not brought on by the Israelis, brought on by a terrorist organization, the only way that this can be solved is the complete eradication of Hamas. You know, in World War II, we didn't leave the Japanese in power, the militaristic regime. We didn't leave the Nazis in power. The only way you can make significant change in the Middle East is if we get rid of Hamas completely. And these people, almost everybody in my race, would like to withhold weapons to Israel. They speak evilly of, they want to reward them by giving them statehood, unprecedented ever.
Who's them? Who's them?
Ket, Bis,
No.
fine.
Who do they want to give statehood?
They want to give a statehood to the Palestinians, which right now means
Don't they deserve
Hamas.
a two-state solution? Can't they be a state? Why not?
There certainly can be a state, but it has to be a state without a terror organization running it, or we're just going to have October 7th repeat itself again. This is unquestionable.
What happened on October 7th? I think people have forgotten.
Well, let's remind everybody then, because we're almost at the second year anniversary, if you can believe it. But there was a terrorist organization in Gaza, an area that was actually left by Israel to its own free will for almost 20 years.
Isn't that what people in Gaza say they want? They want to be liberated. They don't want to be
Absolutely.
under the thumb of Israel. So Israel did that, and what happened?
Took away all the people that lived there, and by the way, anything they had of value, they left, like hot houses and everything. But of course, it was destroyed within the first year because Hamas doesn't want anything that the Zionists put in there. And they, within a year or two, they kicked out the Palestinian
What did they do on
Authority.
October 7th?
Hamas went in unprecedented on one of the holiest days of the Jewish calendar, sent in 3,600 armed terrorists, a well-planned organization, and they murdered, slaughtered, and raped little babies, women, and they videoed it.
How many?
1,286 people.
1,286. They took 250 hostages.
Yep.
How many of the hostages did they kill along the way?
Well, we don't know exactly how many,
but a lot of people died, and it wasn't all natural death, wasn't it?
Of course.
So that 1,286 is a minimum. Maybe it
course.
was 13, maybe it was 1,400. But the important thing, people say in the United States, September 11, more than 3,000 Americans, people in America were killed, but that's a population of 330
100%.
million. What's the population of Israel? About 10
million, of which 3
So
million
what
are Arabs and Druze and other people.
So if you have 10 million as your population and you kill 1,200, what's the equivalent in America?
About 36,000 people.
36,000.
Yep.
Do you think anybody here would forget in 2 years that 36,000 Americans were killed?
Jeff, on December 7th, 1941, 2,100 Navy people were killed in Pearl Harbor. And we went to war for 4 years until we eradicated the whole militaristic regime of the Japanese, okay? So we have a history ourselves of wanting to complete the mission.
So what is Daniel Biss and Laura Fine?
They want to not
Kat,
complete the mission. They want
give
to
me some
reward.
specifics.
They
Let's
want to
be
reward
specifics.
Hamas.
Now, hold on. Let's be specific, because if you get it wrong, we'll be inviting them to come on this show and tell them their side of the story. So what
They should
what do
come
they
on
want?
this show,
Let's be
Jeff.
specific. What do they say they should?
Okay,
America
so let's start
should
with
do?
Laura Fine, who's we call her the windsock, because she just wavers in the wind. So Laura Fine, the day after America made an attack, a coordinated attack on the Iran nuclear facilities, which even the most liberal people like the New York Times said really could bring peace in the Middle East.
What did State Senator?
the next day-
Senator? Let me just remind people. Laura Fine is a state senator
Correct.
from the area. What did she have to say about
She
this?
said it was illegal, and she said it was immoral. She said it will cause World War III and may cause millions of casualties. She
This
thought there
was
would be a
about
draft.
the American bombing of the
Yes.
nuclear facilities
The day
in Iran,
after.
because they are an existential threat to
peace in
Israel
the region, to
and
everybody.
to peace in the region. And that's what And Laura Fine wants to be the congresswoman from the 9th Congressional District.
She hasn't
the
been to Israel
nominee of
since
the
she was
Democratic
12 years
Party.
old, since her parents took her. And I've been there. I've been to all the Abraham Accord nations.
Okay.
By the way, Jeff, Syria and Lebanon might join the Abraham Accords because of this attack on Iran. There could be true peace. This might be one of the greatest single acts.
Let's turn to another one of your opponents, Daniel Biss. What does he have to say about being
He
pro-Israel?
came out incredibly strong against the attack, and then he went on even further, cut off all arms sales to Israel.
And especially what kind? Especially.
Even defensive weapons like
Even
Iron Dome.
defensive, but for sure,
Right.
for
The
sure he
offensive
says
weapons.
offensive because of what the United States is doing in Gaza. What does he think the United States is doing in Gaza?
Israel is trying so hard to fight an urban war as best they can. This will be studied, Jeff, for 50 years on how to
Killing
fight an urban war.
as few
as
civilians
possible.
as they can. But when Hamas came in on October 7, did they say, oh, we're just looking for soldiers? Bad enough. But we don't want to harm innocent civilians.
Absolutely not.
We don't want to
And I don't know if you're aware of this, but during the attack, they let messages out to the people of Gaza who broke through the fence, just civilians, and looted and raped and killed themselves. It wasn't even just Hamas. The hatred was so inbred into the people.
Well, let's scroll forward a little bit. We'll come to other topics, but let's take on one right now because Kat's in the news, right?
Right.
She
loves to be in the news. She's a media hawk.
Yeah, we call her Kat.
Yeah,
She's got
that's
a
what she
long
calls
name.
herself.
She's Palestinian. What's
She's
her long
Palestinian
name?
descent on her father's side. Her grandfather was in Israeli jail for 19 years. And as I told her at a candidate forum, I don't think that was for shoplifting, Jeff.
Right. Okay. So Kat's out there, she says, protesting ICE.
Of course.
Immigration control and
Anything to get in the news.
Immigration, customs, and enforcement.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Customs and enforcement. She's protesting. She goes out to Broadview. There are vans trying to leave and come into the facility, detaining some, bringing them out.
Right.
And what does she do? Stands in front of the vans?
In front of the police, in front of the ICE guards, in front of the vans to try to prevent them from moving along.
I thought she's just protesting. It's a First Amendment right.
She's obstructing the law enforcement.
Yeah. So is she obstructing law enforcement?
She certainly is.
Isn't that against the law?
It certainly is.
Was she arrested?
I don't know if she was arrested or not. I think she was trying to get arrested.
They're treating her with kid gloves.
I think they just removed her.
She was complaining. She says they threw her down.
Yeah,
they grabbed her and she was just standing there holding a sign.
Made all kind of implications about them.
They tried to remove her so the vans could move.
Of course.
Right?
Yep.
Isn't that what you do?
And by the way, she has everybody filming it, so that this is a whole game. And what really is important for you to understand, Jeff, is they don't have one solution to the problem of immigration. It's better for them just to get on the TV and show themselves getting thrown down because then they don't have to address the real issues.
Okay, Kat Abagazela, something like that.
Yeah, you got it.
27
I'm not going to say
old.
it because I might mispronounce it.
You know, Kat, if you're
a carpetbagger,
if you're the social influencer they say you are, come on, we'll take you on one-on-one. We'll give you a fair shot. I don't even take you on. I just want to find out your views. And can you defend your views?
Come sit in this seat, Kat, right here.
Bruce, you got to defend your views. You're doing it,
Absolutely.
Right? Okay? Because if you don't defend them, I'll ask you until you do.
You're a tough questioner, Jeff, and I appreciate that.
Okay. So that's a little bit of ICE. And we covered a lot of pro-Israel. Just let me ask you one last thing. So why is it you're an American, right?
Fifth generation Chicagoan.
You're an Orthodox Jew, right?
I'm an Orthodox
But
Jew.
mainly you are an American. Mainly everybody, Palestinians, if you're here and you're a citizen, you're an American. If you're in France, you're a French person. In Germany, you're a German person. An ethnicity, if you will, okay? But in America, every citizen is an American first. Are you an American?
I am.
First and foremost,
Absolutely.
Right? And Israel is an ally, aren't they?
One of the strongest friends we've ever had in terms of strategic allies in the Middle East.
It's important if you run for Congress that you understand, and you out there who are running for Congress in the 9th Congressional District, the 18 or 20 or however many Bruce says there'll be, we'll find out when they file on November 3rd or thereabouts. But you all are Americans. And if you have allies and you don't support them, don't we have to ask why? Come on and explain to us. Okay, so Bruce, Let's go to another issue. What else is tops on your thought when we're talking about key issues?
Well, you know, Jeff, I built a business with 3 employees and $500 because I like to be the underdog, and I built it into one of the largest HR outsourcing companies in the country. And one of the reasons we were successful in Chicago, and I hate to say it because it helped us do really well when we sold, was that Illinois was the 3rd most difficult state to start a business. Can you believe it? And therefore, you see malls throughout the 9th district that are in bankruptcy, Lincolnwood, Lincolnshire. We have downtowns that are boarded up. I walk into small businesses and I say to them, how can government help you? I've been doing this as a committeeman. I walk through all the Indian stores on Devon, and I'm so proud of them. And they tell me, Mr. Leon, they keep telling us more regulations, more laws. They make it so difficult to be an employer in this state, okay? They're choking them. You know what I told them? If you elect me to Congress and you want to open a small business, I'm going to give you a manicure and a pedicure, and we're going to say, what can government do to help you, to hire people, to employ people?
There are regulations that you agree are important. We want clean air, we want clean water, but we want business. They want them to adhere to those regulations, but if there are needless regulations that do nothing, especially drive businesses out of Illinois, because our regulations are more than other states, it drives jobs out of Illinois.
Can I just give you 2 quick examples?
Sure.
So it all starts in Springfield, which I've come to realize after spending some time down there is not a healthy place for anybody, okay? So State Senator Laura Fine, who I'm running against, she prides herself on just choking business. So just 2 months ago, she passed a bill that any size business that has a woman working for them who has a 2-year-old or less at home and is breastfeeding them when they come home, that she needs 20 minutes off, paid time off in the morning and 20 minutes extra time off in the afternoon. This additional to the other breaks and the lunch breaks.
So two extra breaks
of 20 minutes, so they can do what they need to do to bring home the breast milk to the child. Now, here's the problem. It may sound like a great idea, but you're a restaurant and you have a waitress and you're struggling to make ends meet, and this waitress not performing well, and you fire her, and she goes to the first lawyer she can, and they say, "Oh, you had a baby at home, didn't you? Did they remember to give you 2 paid 20-minute breaks? Oh, they forgot? Well, guess what? It's a $50,000 penalty.
$50,000?
And then it's, well, there's a whole thing with legal fees and with back pay, and then 18% interest. And you're a small businessman. You think you're going to be in line with all these regulations that come down? Another one that choked our economy. When you go to manufacture, and we did this for over 700 companies in Chicago, we went to fingerprints. When you check into a clock, because you remember the old system when you would punch the clock, and you know that everybody, hey, Joe, punch me in, okay? So we came up with an idea, you had to put a fingerprint in there. It's called biometric. It was amazing, and it was tied right into the payroll system. It cut down on cheating.
It's efficient, it works. The liberals and the Democratic Party should love it.
That you were stealing their fingerprint history, okay?
Wait, who decided? Laura Fine, she's a state senator.
Oh,
she must have stood up. She didn't stand up and say, this is how you drive out business?
They made a biometric law that was retroactive that almost drove a lot of, Great America got penalized over.
So you're on one side. Right. We want fewer regulations. We want regulations that are appropriate.
That make sense. Obviously, OSHA and COBRA.
So you're running against Laura Fine. You're running for Congress.
Mike Simmons was in Springfield. Yeah. Hahn was in Springfield. I'm running against a lot of Springfield people in this race.
They all went, in your view, the wrong way.
Of course.
You want to go the right way.
Absolutely.
If there's something similar on the federal level, you want to go the right way, help people, create jobs, keep jobs. You're saying they want to go the wrong way?
Well, I went down and spoke to the leaders of both the House and the Senate. You probably know who they are. And some of their constituents. I showed them the statutes.
Leaders, you mean the Democratic Party?
Yes, the Democratic
Speaker.
Don Harmon.
Don Harmon's now the Senate.
Chris Welch.
President, Chris Welch, the House Speaker.
I said
both
to them,
Democrats.
Workers' comp is choking our industry. It's half the cost in our neighboring states. And I showed them the statistics, and we were buying workers' comp for 17,000 employees. So we were pretty good at it. And you know what they said to me? They said, you know what? If somebody's been working in a construction job and they're 55 years old, they're entitled to workers' comp. Let them be.
No matter what,
No
even
matter
if
what.
they're not legally
Not if they're not
entitled,
legally that would hurt.
it's not the intent to give
yeah,
everybody
let them have a little
because
vacation, okay?
give them a vacation. That's
Yeah.
what Harman said to you.
Yeah, that's what they said.
That's what Speaker Walsh said to you.
Yeah.
And what about Laura Fine?
I didn't speak to her directly about
but
it,
you
but
think
they
she'd
all
say she
played into
supports
this.
Don Harman, doesn't she?
So when you see what goes on in the workers' comp arena in this state and city, it is absolutely crazy.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the kind of stuff that is hurting business, and you know it may go in the second thing because when business leaves, guess what happens? People leave. So my company, Tandem HR, was bought by a local private equity firm called Shore Capital. Wonderful guy, Justice.
Hold on. How long had you? What'd you start with, and what'd you
3
end up with?
employees in '97. We
Ended
grew
up
it to
with?
150 employees. So, and then he, as part of their model, they bought other like companies in Madison and in St. Louis, Detroit, and it grew to 250 employees right out here in Westchester. And good jobs. These were white collar consulting type jobs. Okay. When the international company bought us a year and a half ago, I said, let's keep all the employees in Chicago. They said, fine, we'll keep them for a year.
Right.
We met 6 months ago. He said, we're going to Georgia and Arizona.
Because
our home
why?
office.
They don't like Chicago. They
First
don't
of
like
all,
Cook County. They don't like the 9th CD.
We have a lot of entry-level jobs. People aren't educated in this state. Do you understand that? They're not getting the quality people that they thought they were getting.
Really? They're not?
Yeah.
They can't read?
They can't
If they
read.
go to
They can't do math.
CPS, if
We
they
have
go to
them doing payroll.
schools in your district, they can't read? Really?
And so they're moving 200 employees out. And by the way, our office is right across from Chris Walsh's office, okay, in Westchester. So let's talk about the schools then for a second. Why are the schools better in other states? When you looked at statistics, and by the way, you know I ran for the school board, and I think business people should be on the school board. It's a huge organization, $11 billion, 43,000 employees. But I want to warn all your listeners, Jeff, if they do decide to run for the school board, be prepared for a lot of sleepless nights and sick stomachs. Because when you see the numbers and you see the statistics, you can't sleep at night.
You're talking not just CPS. Some of your district is in Chicago, in CPS.
Much of it is, yeah.
Much of it is. But folks, your district is much broader. It goes to other
County,
parts of
McHenry County, yep.
Right. So these numbers, Illinois, we're saying Illinois, in your district, outside your district, WirePoint says that Illinois graduates unprepared students because 81%, according to WirePoints, of blacks graduate from the public schools in Illinois, but only 12% read at grade level.
And look at the math.
And
we needed
Hispanics,
people doing
hold
math.
on, Hispanics, part of your district, part of the people you want to represent, 85% graduate around Illinois, but only 18% read at grade level. Similar for math. And I'm sure Daniel Biss, who was a state rep and a state senator, he knows these data and he talks about it. You hear him say that a lot.
Evanston used to be one of the premier high schools in the state, Evanston High School. Look at the numbers there. Their numbers of math and reading.
Well, you know
ETH,
Evanston Township High School.
Yep.
Do we know the numbers at ETH?
Yeah, we've got the numbers here. It's something to the effect of 20% of the blacks in that school can read at grade level and less on math, okay?
What about whites?
Whites are about 70%.
Is that equity? Because Daniel Biss is big on equity. Daniel, come on. If we got it wrong, if it's really these numbers are close, you've been there 4 years, you've closed the achievement gap, you've at least narrowed it, and you wouldn't say, oh, that's the school board issue as mayor, I can't do anything. Do you think he might say that?
Well, but he's got a bully pulpit. He certainly can get up there and shout and scream.
Have you heard him?
Never mentions it ever.
So it's bad that he's not changing this. It's even worse that he's not talking. Daniel, prove it. If I'm getting it wrong, if Bruce Leone is getting it wrong, prove it. This is the prove it table. Prove him wrong, prove me wrong. But you can't just sit in the background and be the congressman from the Illinois 9th CD if you're not going to fight for what you think is right. And it can't be that you're okay with 70-80% of whites at ETHS reading at grade level and 20% blacks. It was like that when you started. It can't be. Could it be?
And I tell you something it's shocking. I'm in the 50th Ward Committeeman. Just in my ward, which is considered one of the better wards in the city, you talk about schools like Mather, Armstrong, Rogers School, Bell School. The numbers, Jeff, are staggeringly bad. And therefore, as an employer that hires high school and college graduates through payroll to work in accounting departments, when you're dealing with payroll numbers, you can't be off by, the numbers are big, and you got to know how to read, and you got to know how to do
take
math.
more data, in grade 8, NAEP, which is a National Assessment of Educational Progress.
Correct.
They have results of 8th graders in 2024. Do we know anything about that?
Yeah, I believe that the numbers are under 20% in the math level for certain Hispanics.
Blacks and Hispanics.
Blacks might even be less than 10%.
Whites are over 40%.
The overall aggregate is about 30 to 32%, I remember.
So it's nothing, even for whites, if it's 40% reading at grade level, 60% aren't. This is around the state of Illinois.
Correct.
In and out of the 9th CD.
Correct.
Who's talking about it?
And you want to really fall off your chair? They're spending $31,000 per student. New Trier, which has better results, part of it's in my district, it spends $19,000. San Francisco, which has much better results, spends $18,000 per student. We're not getting any value for the money. And all during the school board they wanted to talk about was more mental health counselors, more gender counselors to help kids that were dealing with gender issues. And you know what I say? Let's focus on the classrooms and not the bathrooms, okay? Let's get these scores up and make ourselves a world-class
You know who
city
said
again.
that? Another Democrat, Rahm Emanuel.
Yes, he did.
Is he coming out and supporting you?
Well, I never asked him, but you know what?
Would you want it? Would you want it if he supports you?
I happen to think that Rahm has the guts to call out our own party for its failings right now, and I think he has been very strong
What are we
about
spending in Evanston? Do you know Biss? Do you know Laura Fine?
Of course, I mean, Laura
Do you
Fine,
know
I'm a committee
Kat?
man for
How much is it?
Laura Fine.
25, 28,000 per kid per year. In CPS, it's a bit more, 30,000 per kid per year.
Yeah.
Do you think we should be at least teaching kids how to read? At least helping minorities so they can read and get a job? Is
You
this
would think
asking
for that
too much?
money, you would think for that money we would be getting great
I know.
results.
So what's the solution on education? Then we got to move on. What's the solution? What's
I think
your
one of the
solution?
main solutions is what I call parental choice. I don't call it school choice. It's parental choice. Parents should be able to find the school that best fits their kids. And by the way, Stacey Gates, the head of the CTU, she sends her kids to a private school.
She found a school, but she makes $300K a year as the head of the union, right?
Of course. And by the way, when I was running in the
Because she
CTU
doesn't have
candidates-
to, hold on, she doesn't have to take the public money, the taxpayer money, and send it to the school of choice because she makes so much from being a union boss that she can just do it on her own. But what about, Daniel, the parent in your district who's making 30, 35,000? You think maybe we should let them take a chunk of that, maybe 8, 12, 15, maybe all of it, and go to what kinds of schools can they go to? Do you know?
Let me just tell you,
In your
we had a program for 6 years in Illinois called Invest in Kids.
Right.
It took the poorest of the poor kids, I think you had to be at poverty level or below, and gave them an ability to go to a private school with a $10,000 scholarship. The total cost of the program
So
was
what
about
happened?
$75 million.
Somehow it went out of existence.
When Mike Madigan was there, I was there when we initially got the bill, and we made a mistake. We put a sunset in there after 6 years. That was the way we made a
Which
deal
means,
with the
what does a sunset mean?
meaning after 6 years you have to renew it.
If you don't, what happens?
It's dead.
It's dead. Did
So-
Pritzker argue, let's renew this bill?
So Pritzker sat down with
He's
us,
the
looked us
top
in the
Democrat.
face,
He's the
and
top
said,
Democrat.
if we just lower get a little bit of federal money, we'd be okay. But then he reneged on that. Okay,
He let it die. Either killed it or let it die.
and all the leaders. And
What
by
about
the way,
Daniel Biss? Did Daniel Biss speak out?
Daniel Biss was against it.
Laura
Jan
Fine?
Schakowsky was against
Jan
it.
Schakowsky?
Laura Fine
Kat?
was for sure against it.
I don't know, was
I
Kat
on
out of diapers by
no,
then? But,
she
you
was
know.
not part of the. She lived in Texas. But Laura
she came
Fine,
here. Okay,
Laura
got it.
Fine, I was on a conference call with her when she said, I'm a teacher, I'm a union member, and we're going to vote for the union. The union doesn't want to see, even though it was 1/4 of 1%.
I can't believe that.
They
She didn't
wanted-
care about the kids. She took.
We had the parents of the kids.
The teachers are already median salary at CPS $110K. That means that's the average.
Retire at
110.
59 and get a beautiful pension.
$70,000 a year pension. That's who she sidled up to. The kids who don't
Jeff-
learn how to read,
Jeff,
she
listen
didn't
to
give
this.
a rat's ass.
We had
That can't
2,000
be.
of the kids' parents who were on the scholarship program, who losing this program, especially in the Jewish community where there is no choice, the parents have to send, they would lose their house, they would lose their medicine. And she cut the call off after 15 minutes and said, I'm not listening. I'm a union member and I believe in CTU, okay?
Laura, come on here and you prove Bruce Leon wrong. And if necessary, we'll get the two of you together. toe-to-toe. Daniel Biss, you want to go toe-to-toe with Bruce Leon? Or are you going to hide out somewhere? Prove him wrong. If he can, he'll prove you wrong. Let's find out. Isn't this what America's about? Isn't this what democracy is about, right?
Can you ask him one more question when you get him on the show?
Sure.
In the Trump bill that was passed, and there were a lot of problems with it, but there were some good things in there. One of the things they allowed was a $1,700 federal tax credit to give money to schools of your choice. And it's not just private schools. People think it's these uppity.
But wait a second.
It also includes vocational schools.
In order for that to apply to Illinois, what has to happen?
The governor has to opt in.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
It means he has to say, I want my state, even though it doesn't cost a nickel, and the public schools get 10%.
So I'm sure like Biss and Fine.
They should be for it. It doesn't cost a nickel.
They've all gone over there. Have you tried? Have you talked to the governor? Don't you think you should?
The governor's made it clear at this point he is thinking about not opting in.
Wait a second. You got a bully pulpit. You're running in the ninth.
If I'm the congressman, he's not going to.
If I don't hear you saying
that, a day that goes by, he's not going to hear from me about not opting out of this program. Okay.
No, don't wait till you're congressman. Right now.
Okay.
If your voice isn't heard, it's going to be by middle of next year.
Well, I can tell you one thing. The lieutenant governor, who was close to him, came to my launch, which had about 1,600 people, and there were three speakers that spoke before that, and all of them looked at her and said, Lieutenant Governor, out in this crowd are parents who are suffering. They can't pay their mortgage. They can't pay their health insurance. And don't opt out of this $1,700 tax credit.
And what'd she say?
She's given us our commitment that they will look at it.
This is Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, right?
Yeah.
And she's running for the U.S. Senate in the Democratic primary.
Correct.
So Juliana, Senate candidate Juliana Stratton, Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, if Bruce got that wrong, you come on here and you prove him wrong. Right. And maybe you could go toe-to-toe, so to speak.
Listen,
she's
a very nice lady, but she has to know there's no cost to this to the state. It's only a way to just give a poke to Trump, okay? And it hurts all these kids just to do that poke. It's not worth it. And it really doesn't even give a poke.
So if they get that, they're more likely. What kinds of schools could they go to if they can opt out of the public school?
So that would give every kid a choice to go where the parents
parochial school?
They could go to a trade school. Unions would love it. Unions are actually big supporters of this.
They could opt there, at least learn a trade.
I'm an HR guy. We need more tradespeople.
Can they go to a Jewish day school?
They can certainly go to a Jewish day school. America gives people an opportunity to achieve greatness. And we can't kill that dream. I believe in America, and I believe in the American dream.
So Bruce Leon, candidate in the Illinois 9th Congressional District Democrat primary.
Yep.
You come back and give us another show. You've given us two. Thank you for part one.
And I invite any of my opponents to come talk to Jeff.
If you've watched this as part one, you come back next week, it'll be part two. And if you can't find us on cable, you can find us all the time, 24/7, youtube.com/publicaffairs.tv. And Daniel and Kat and Laura, you come back and you come on because we want your views. Prove Leon wrong if he's wrong, or let him prove. That's America, that's democracy. And you come back next week and every week to Public Affairs.